So, those of you who have watched my September wrap-ups will know that I have not been having a great reading time recently, and this has made me reconsider my reading, and it's led me to some quite interesting conclusions. So I was looking back, and the last 5-star book I read at the beginning of August, and I'm generally quite liberal with my 5 stars. Like, I generally have at least one 5-star book a month because I'm quite good at picking books that I know I'm going to enjoy. But I'm feeling like recently I'm becoming quite harsh, especially on books that have a lot of attention around them. What kind of inspired me to make this video is that I've just finished another very popular book, which I won't talk about here. I'll talk about in my wrap up and you'll soon see what one it is. And it was fine. And it was, you know, enjoyable and whatever, it was fine, but it didn't blow me away. And because I haven't heard anything bad about this book, everybody has loved it, and it makes me feel it kind of goes both ways, because I gave it 4 stars because it was well written and it was fine. As I say, there was nothing wrong with it, but it didn't blow me away. And it's kind of a double-edged sword, because I was disappointed with it because everybody loves it, and it didn't have that impact that I was expecting it to have, and it wasn't a 5-star read, and it wasn't one of my favourites of the year. But I also gave it 4 stars when I probably normally would have given it 3, maybe 3.5, because I couldn't separate it from the attention that it's getting, if you know what I mean. It was a more memorable read for me than it would have been if I had never heard of it, or if I had just picked it up on a whim, because it's got so much hype and everybody loves it so much. So it's it works both ways. Like, not only do I go harsher on that book and be more disappointed by what I get from it, but I also kind of automatically want to put it up there in my memory because of what it is. So it's kind of really confusing me at the moment. And also I'm thinking, am I just being unnecessarily horrible to books? Like, especially recently, and last month was just terrible. I feel like maybe my intention of reading has changed in the past year or so. Maybe my reviews of books are a little too harsh, especially now I'm doing BookTube quite regularly. I find that I read books with a much more critical eye, which I don't think is a bad thing, because when you're reviewing a book, it's good to be critical of it. But also I realise that I'm just a bit of a grump at times, and I don't want to be like that. And I don't know how that happened. And I've noticed especially it's in the type of books that I read. Say I read a book that is purely for entertainment purposes, I find it very hard to enjoy a book that is purely for entertainment purposes now. Whereas going back 3-4 years in my reading taste, that was all I read. I read books purely for enjoyment. I would read the odd classic, but I certainly didn't read like high literary fiction or anything like that. Whereas now I'm all about the literary fictions, and it's a very confusing sort of transition period, I think, for me, and that's possibly why I'm having such bad experiences with books. But I think I want to kind of try and get back to enjoying books for what they are and not what they're not anymore. I don't want to be this grump that's renowned for her bad reviews, that is constantly picking holes in books and constantly picking things that I didn't like. Because it's like this book that I read recently, which you'll hear about in my wrap up. I liked it. It was, as I say, fine. There was nothing wrong with it. But it just fell short of something, and I don't even know what that something is anymore. I also think, because I'm going more deeply into my own writing journey and really exploring my own writing and going to a new level with my own writing, I like to think, I hope, and taking that more seriously, I think that's also changed my reading perspective. Reading from the position of being a writer to reading from the position of just being a reader is I'm finding a different process. And I've always obviously written, but writing is that much more important to me at the moment, and I'm sort of constantly researching and reading and trying to devour and experience writing that challenges me and interests me. And it's also valuable in that sense to read things that don't challenge me or don't interest me or don't work, because it's good to look at why they don't work. And I think that's also why I'm quite negative on books at the moment, is because I'm looking at how they don't work, how I could avoid doing that in my own writing, and things like that. And it's valuable stuff, but I also want to be able to just separate myself from books sometimes and just say, it wasn't the best written, there were issues, but I enjoyed it, and this is why. Like, I want to be more positive, and I want to get back to enjoying reading more, because there is this frustration when, especially when you're just reading book after book that just isn't hitting the spot or meeting up to your expectations. It becomes really frustrating, especially when you read as much as I do and when it's as big a part of your life. Like I said in my wrap up, when my reading's not going well, I don't feel well. Like, I don't feel right, especially if I'm not inspired to read. Like, I don't really know what to do with myself. So, point of this video is, what do people think? Do you often set unrealistic expectations and therefore are disappointed by books? Do you read purely for entertainment and therefore find that you enjoy more of the books you're reading? Do you read to further your mind? Do you read to further your own writing? Do you think there should be a priority, or does it just not matter? I don't know whether I'm just going too far into this and getting myself a bit crazy about it. Probably. I normally do. But from now on, certainly in my reading at the moment, I intend to just read books and just enjoy them and not to try not to pick them apart. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Probably not well, because I can't help it. But there you go. Bye.